I was out shooting a short time-lapse of the ISS passing overhead. When I got home and looked at the images, something immediately caught my attention. There were surprisingly large gaps between the frames. This puzzled me because my Canon R8 can shoot 40 raw frames per second using the electronic shutter, with a burst of around 70 raw images. I expected it to be able to start the next exposure almost immediately, so I decided to investigate. Instead of waiting for another ISS pass, I created a simple moving dot animation, displayed it on my OLED TV, and photographed the screen. The test video is linked in the description. The camera was set up completely manually. Manual exposure, manual focus, manual white balance, only raw, high plus continuous shooting, electronic shutter, long exposure noise reduction off, high ISO noise reduction off. All other image processing disabled. I used a wired remote shutter release, equivalent to simply holding the shutter button down continuously. With a 0.5 second exposure, the camera behaves exactly as expected. It starts the next exposure almost immediately. I estimate the gap is only around 25 milliseconds, although it's too small for me to measure accurately. When all the images are stacked in StarStaX, the moving dot becomes one continuous line. The same thing happens at 0.8 seconds. Using the mechanical shutter, there is a small delay of about 175 milliseconds, which is exactly what I would expect from a mechanical system. But something changes completely as soon as I increase the shutter speed to 1 second. Now there is a delay of approximately 1130 milliseconds before the next exposure begins. The camera also behaves differently. Instead of displaying the captured image, the screen simply shows busy. Busy doing what? This is exactly what created the large gaps in my ISS time-lapse. Interestingly, the mechanical shutter performs much better here. The delay increases from 175 milliseconds to roughly 510 milliseconds, which is still a significant increase, but less than half the delay of the electronic shutter. The same behavior continues at 2 seconds. 2 seconds of exposure, followed by roughly 1130 milliseconds before the next image. And the same happens at 5 seconds, and all the way beyond. I've asked a lot of people about this, but so far nobody has been able to explain it. Most replies are suggestions I've already tested. No, long exposure noise reduction is not enabled. If it were, the delay should increase with the exposure time, which it doesn't. Yes, the sensor needs to be read out, but if the camera can start a new exposure immediately at 0.8 seconds, why does everything change at exactly 1 second? Yes, my SD card is fast enough. It's a 280 megabytes per second UHS-2 card, and I don't see how card speed could explain a fixed delay before the second frame. Just for comparison, I tested my 16-year-old Canon EOS R8. At a 1 second exposure, it waits only about 187 milliseconds before taking the next picture. Seeing a 16-year-old camera perform this part of the sequence considerably faster than a modern mirrorless camera was the last thing I expected. I shoot a lot of time lapses, so this behavior is disappointing, especially because I still don't know whether I've overlooked a setting or whether the camera is performing some undocumented internal process. That's why I made this video. If you know why this happens, or if you've measured the same behavior on another Canon camera, I'd really like to hear from you. Please leave a comment below. If someone has a technical explanation, or even better, an answer from Canon, I'd love to know.